Welcome back to our barista training videos, and in today's video, we're going to be focusing on the grind setting. After working in a cafe for 3+ years, I found it very difficult to understand the grind setting. If you're trying to correct your grind setting for a pour over, or if you're trying to dial in the espresso in the morning, the grind setting can just be very difficult to understand when you're first starting off as a barista. And so in today's video, I set up a demonstration to show you the different flow rates of the water as it goes through the coffee beans and into the brewing vessel, and then we're going to be tasting those different coffees, and we're going to be seeing if we can taste the difference between the different coffees with different grind settings. So today I have my friend Jack here with me, and he's going to be representing the average customer at a coffee shop. So Jack would describe his palate as
mediocre, average, common person going to a coffee shop.
But he does, however, drink black coffee, so basically he knows what he likes when it comes down to coffee. And with the grind setting, we only varied 4 numbers on the Baratza Encore, and we started at 11 with the correct grind setting, and then we moved 4 numbers down to get to 7, which made it more fine, and then from 11, we also moved 4 numbers up to make it more coarse. However, again, all these things were brewed the same. The only thing that was different was the grind setting. But my goal in this experiment is to emphasize that there is a difference when you go outside of the recommended grind settings in the cafe. Now with that being said, we're gonna allow Jack, who represents our average customer, give his feedback on what he thought about the different coffees. And this is the one with the finer setting. This is the one that we do in the cafe, and this is a more coarse grind. So what did you think about it?
So the finer grind had like the stronger flavor, and if I had like a full cup of it, it would have been a very, I think it would have been a more overpowering flavor compared to the standard for what's served at the cafe. And with the cafe, with the typical one that was served, it was a very like standard, like, this is good, I like this, it's not too much, not too little, it's not too watery, with what came out of the brew. And then with the coarse one, I like personally enjoyed it a lot, but I also recognize the fact that it was quite watery. And so that might be my preference, and not everyone would enjoy that,
So now let's talk about what we learned from that demonstration. As you can see in this video of the cups being filled with coffee, you can see that all of them are filling at different rates. Now again, we know that that's because the grind settings are different on each and every brew. However, let's dive in and study exactly what's happening in case you're having the same issue at the cafe and you're trying to make adjustments to get it just right. So in this first cup, this is the coffee that is ground more fine, and as you can see, it goes through a lot slower. Now if we skip this middle cup and we go over to the last cup, you can see that this coffee is draining a lot more quickly, and that's because this cup is more coarse. So after trying different methods, we've come up with this cup which gives a really good extraction, and so that's the parameters that we're using. So imagine you go into the cafe and your very first cup of coffee that you're brewing for a customer is a V60, and your coffee is draining way too fast. Maybe you're ending around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. What should you do? If you said use a finer grind, then that's absolutely correct, because using a finer grind slows down the drip time, which allows the water to stay inside the coffee bed for a little bit longer time. So let's go to the opposite side. Let's say that you're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds and your coffee is still draining from the V60 into the brewing vessel. What should you do? If you said coarsen up your grind, then you're exactly correct. Coarsening your grind allows the water to flow through the coffee bed a little bit more quickly, so the water doesn't sit in the bed for too long. Now knowing this is very, very important because it can cut down on the number of times it takes you to dial in your espresso or your pour over when you're trying to brew at the cafes.